The early years of The Simpsons is renowned for the quality of the writing on the show, packed with memorable jokes which are instantly recognisable and still quoted to this day. It truly propelled the show to a place of legendary status in television history. However, another aspect of The Simpsons writing team's strength was the ability to often end an episode in the most touching and heartfelt way. The type of final scene that leaves you feeling all warm and fuzzy as the credits roll. It's something that the show could do so well during that early period, and I thought it might be interesting to take a look at some of the most memorable endings that the show has managed to produce, and why one in particular stands out in my opinion as possibly the single greatest Simpsons moment of all time. Of course, this list is subjective, and I'd love to hear in the comments if there's any that you think I missed. So without further ado, let's get started. In this Season 2 episode, Bart is knocked off his skateboard by Mr. Burns and winds up in hospital, where the Simpsons are approached by Lionel Hutz, who convinces Homer and a reluctant Marge that they should sue Mr. Burns and promises a payoff of $1 million. However, when Marge is called to the stand, she's unable to hide her true feelings about the questionable medical diagnosis they received from Dr. Nick Riviera. Marge's honesty leads to the Simpsons losing their lawsuit and $1 million payoff, with Homer going to Moe's to drown his sorrows. While there, Marge arrives, and after Homer tells her he might not love her anymore, she asks him to look her in the eyes and tell her how he feels.
Oh, who am I kidding? I love you more than ever.
I love you too.
Sorry to scare you like that, babe.
This is just a really sweet moment and an early sign of the show's ability to end an episode in such a heartfelt way. After visiting a pet farm, Lisa decides to stop eating meat, and it leads to conflict between her and Homer, who doesn't agree with Lisa's new lifestyle choice. When Lisa destroys Homer's barbecue, the two come to blows, and Lisa storms out of the house, where she meets Apu at the Quickie Mart, who introduces her to Linda and Paul McCartney. After Apu advises Lisa about tolerating the beliefs of others, she runs into Homer, who's been searching for her, and the two make peace in a really nice ending scene. The father-daughter relationship between Homer and Lisa has always been one of the show's greatest dynamics. They are two very different people who constantly struggle to understand each other. However, the show is sprinkled with these moments where they find a common ground, and it truly makes for some of the best examples of the show tapping into its emotional core. The Season 3 and 4 episodes I Married Marge and Lisa's First Word detail the story of the births of Bart and Lisa. And in Season 6 we see the story of Maggie's addition to the Simpson family. The episode opens with the Simpson kids asking why there are no pictures of Maggie in the house, and then flashes back to 2 years previous. After Homer manages to pay off the family debt early, he quits his job at the nuclear power plant and lands his dream job at the bowling alley. However, when Marge becomes pregnant, it means Homer having to grovel for his job back at the power plant. Depressed at the prospect of having to return to his old job, things are made even worse by Mr. Burns installing a plaque at Homer's desk, reminding him that he's stuck there forever. In the episode's final scene, Homer reveals the reason there are no pictures of Maggie in the house.
Then why no pictures?
Oh, there are pictures. I keep them where I need the most cheering up.
It's not often an episode plot is based around Maggie, and it's really sweet to see Homer doting over his youngest daughter. The sibling rivalry between Bart and Lisa comes to a head when Lisa joins a rival hockey team as a goalkeeper, and the two compete for Homer's affection and adoration. When they come face to face in direct competition, the game comes down to a penalty taken by Bart. With the citizens of Springfield strangely baying for blood over a kids' hockey game, Bart and Lisa begin to have flashbacks to moments from their childhood, causing them both to decide to forfeit the game. As the crowd decide to riot, Bart and Lisa skate away arm in arm, as Marge looks on proudly, and Homer not so much.
They're both losers! Losers!
I personally always love this scene, and I think it's one that anyone who has a sibling can relate to. You spend your childhood fighting with them more than anyone else, but deep down there's a bond that can't be broken. The Season 7 episode Round Springfield felt like a pretty brave episode to make at the time, with a plot based around an 8-year-old girl dealing with grief after the death of someone she really looked up to. Lisa first met Bleeding Gums Murphy in the season 1 episode Moaning Lisa, where he helped her to learn how to channel her sadness through blues music. And so when Murphy passes away, Lisa is understandably distraught. She decides to have his legacy remembered by having his music played on a local jazz station, but can't afford the cost of purchasing Bleeding Gums' album to have it played. In a sweet gesture, Bart buys Lisa the album with the money he made from suing Krusty the Clown. However, the radio station's short range means that it's unlikely anybody will hear it. With a touch of divine intervention, lightning strikes the transmitter, causing the song to be heard all over Springfield. And Lisa has one last, possibly imaginary meeting with Bleeding Gums as the two jam together one last time. After Bart ruins the family Thanksgiving by knocking a centerpiece made by Lisa into the fire, the two come to blows and Bart is sent to his room.
I hope you're happy, Bart. You ruined Thanksgiving!
After he runs away from home, he spends Thanksgiving dinner at a homeless shelter, and when he returns home he hears Lisa crying while he hides on the roof. It leads to a really tender moment where Bart apologises and the two make up, with Homer and Marge looking on from a window below. The family then finally get to sit down together and enjoy a Thanksgiving meal of leftovers. There's just something really heartwarming about this ending, as we see that for all their imperfections, the Simpsons are a family that deep down really love and care for each other. In the season 4 episode Duffless, Homer is found guilty of drink driving and made to attend traffic school. Following the incident, Marge asks Homer to give up alcohol for 30 days. Being sober for a month sees Homer lose weight and save money, however he immediately heads to Moe's once his 30 days are up. After observing Barney and the other customers, he decides to leave his beer and heads home to Marge, where they take a bike ride together, cycling into the sunset. This scene might be a parody of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but the image has become a great example of The Simpsons ending an episode on the perfect note. Lisa's Wedding is an episode that flashes forward 15 years into the future, giving a glimpse of what life will be like for the Simpsons. After the family attend a Renaissance fair, Lisa visits a fortune teller, who reveals the story of Lisa's first true love, which ends on her wedding day as her husband-to-be can't accept her family for who they are. After Lisa leaves the fortune teller, she bumps into Homer in what is, in my opinion, the best Homer-Lisa moment of the entire show. Upset from her experience at the fortune tellers, Lisa is happy to see her dad, who is equally excited to see Lisa and tell her all about his day.
I ate 7 pounds of fudge!
Wow!
The man at the stand said it was a record.
Wow! What else did you do, Dad?
Taking his hand as they walk away, Lisa is happy to hear her dad's stories, knowing that despite all his faults, Homer is her dad and someone who will always love her. In this Christmas episode from Season 7, Bart really wants a new video game, Bone Storm.
So tell your folks, buy me, Bone Storm, or go to hell!
However, Marge decides that the game is too violent and expensive. Desperate to have the game, Bart resorts to shoplifting and is apprehended by security guard Don Brodka.
Sir, would you open your coat, please?
I don't think this is the kind of coat that opens.
Please step back in the store, sir.
After learning of Bart's shoplifting, Marge is devastated and begins to treat Bart differently, figuring that he's no longer a little boy and that she's been mothering him far too much. This leaves Bart upset and feeling that he's lost his mum's love. In the final scene, we are led to think that Bart has shoplifted again, only to reveal he had a portrait taken to add to the spoiled family photo. It's a lovely moment and you can feel the joy of both characters as Marge feels that she has her special little guy back and Bart once again feels his mum's love.
I love you so much, my little bitty Barty. Mom.
Just another example of The Simpsons hitting that sweet spot as the credits roll. And speaking of the credits, this clip of Leo Cavello's pudding challenge is the perfect comic relief to balance the emotion.
Ball is in. Parking lot. Would you like to play again? You have selected no.
Of course, this list is subjective, but personally I honestly think that the ending to Mother Simpson isn't just the best episode ending, but simply the greatest moment of the entire show. Throughout the show's run up to this point, Homer's mum was never really mentioned much, and we knew that Abe had raised Homer alone for the majority of his childhood. In this episode, Mona returns to Springfield after Homer fakes his own death. Believing his mum had already passed away, Homer is thrilled to have her back in his life and acts like a big kid as they catch up.
Mom, you're not looking!
However, after it's revealed that Mona has been on the run from the law for her part in an explosion at Mr. Burns' chemical lab, she has to quickly leave town again as the police close in. The scene of Homer saying goodbye to his mum is truly heartbreaking, but it's this shot which closes the episode that really hits you. After watching his mum disappear into the distance and out of his life again, he decides to stay and watch the stars as the night falls in, knowing that somewhere out there he has a mum. Honestly, I defy anybody to watch this scene and not get more than a little choked up inside. The music, the visuals, everything about the scene is just perfect. It's truly The Simpsons at its very best. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if I missed any endings you would have included, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see future uploads.